This is my audience for my speech. Ask any student about sex education and you know what kind of answer you're going to get. It's embarrassing, outdated, and unhelpful. In fact, a 2016 study of sex education around the world, published in BMJ journals by Pound, Langford, and Campbell, confirms this. Not only was there a general distaste for sex ed, many young students felt vulnerable, with young men hiding their sexual inexperience and young women keeping silent to avoid harassment. Today I would like to show why better sex education benefits all students. Better sex education reduces the rate of teen pregnancies and STDs, causes students to have less sexual partners and have sex later in life, and informs them on topics such as same-sex relations, consent, and safe relationships. The U.S. funds a lot of abstinence-only programs. The main reasoning for this is their effectiveness at reducing teen pregnancy and STD rates. After all, if teens aren't having sex, they can't become parents or contract STDs. However, as I'll mention more later, these programs are not effective at doing this. They may even imply that contraceptives are ineffective to keep students from having sex. Of course, this isn't true. Condoms alone prevent pregnancies 98% of the time, and that's only one type of contraception. Both birth control and IUDs have been shown to prevent pregnancies almost 100% of the time. This sort of misinformation leads to more pregnancies and STDs than if students were just taught the benefits of contraceptives right away. As I mentioned before, abstinence-only programs are presented as the best way to keep students from having sex. However, if you look at the facts, this simply isn't true. In Emerging Answers, a research book by Douglas Kirby, 40% of comprehensive sex education programs studied both delayed sexual initiation and reduced the number of sexual partners that students had. 30% of those same programs also reduced the frequency of sex. Compare this to abstinence-only programs and you can see a clear difference. In a 2009 article from Advocate for Youth's website, their analysis of abstinence-only programs show, quote, "No abstinence-only program has yet been proven through rigorous evaluation to delay sex for any significant period of time or to help youth reduce their number of sexual partners." Not only are these programs ineffective at preventing teens from having sex, they also ignore an entire group of students' sexualities. This dismissal of students' experiences only fosters ignorance and a greater stigma against LGBTQ+ people. Another complaint from students was that these programs felt too clinical. They seemed focused on teaching the biology of sex instead of the relationship aspects. They often disregarded or glossed over completely domestic abuse, the pressure to have sex, and the emotions and enjoyment of sex. It treated sex as ends to a mean, the means being reproduction. The end being reproduction. Also, in the discussions of consent, it was often mentioned that men were always seen as the initiator that the females had to deny. This completely ignores the sexual abuse of men and the fact that some women do actually want to have sex. Again, from Pound, Langford, and Campbell in their study, students often noted the casting of men as sexual predators and of women as passive and lacking in desire. Students often said that these programs felt disconnected from their lives. From these examples, it's no wonder why. To summarize, sex education in the United States is lacking. It emphasizes abstinence and glosses over contraception, despite that this has been proven to not be effective at all. They ignore LGBTQ+ students and rely on basic gender stereotypes in their discussions of consent. They present sex in sterile technical terms that do nothing to relate to their students. I can relate to this because my own sex education were lacking in these ways. In discussing this today, I hope to show that sex education needs to be changed for students and society alike.